Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over 4 React apps that I built using Sonny Sangha's Build 4 Apps in 12 Hours React.js Crash Course. These apps use a bunch of cool technologies like Redux and Firebase in addition to React. I'll put a link to the original video in the description down below, so go check it out if you haven't already. It's a pretty cool video. This video that I'm making is actually part of a boot camp I'm doing where I'm learning to code, so I invite you to learn along with me. Let's get started. The first app we built was a LinkedIn clone. As you can see, you start off at the login page where you can create a new account or log in with a pre-existing one. For the purposes of these apps, I created a character called Fluffy the Cat, who is a cat looking for a job. So I'm going to log into Fluffy the Cat's account. And as you can see, we have our LinkedIn feed here. Our account info has also been plugged into the header and the sidebar, so that's pretty cool. And if you click on the icon up there, you actually get logged out. We can also type in a new post. So let's say something, let's say meow. And it popped up just like that. All right, now let's head over and look at my code for this app. So let's open up VS Code, go into my folder for LinkedIn, and let's open up our app.js. And this is the basic structure of our app. Now, in terms of Sonny's code, the major problem I ran into is just that his video is from a while ago, so some of the code he was using was a little bit outdated. For example, the imports for Material UI and Material UI icons have changed. Now they're at MUI/material and at MUI/icons-material. In addition, the imports for Firebase have changed. Now the import for Firebase itself is Firebase/compat/app, and for auth and Firestore, it's Firebase/compat/auth or Firestore, whichever one you're importing. But honestly, for both of these things, I just recommend Googling the imports and Googling the technology itself, because these things update a lot, and so this video might become out of date as well. So I would just Google it to make sure. But those are the only problems that I ran into while running this app's code. In terms of the build itself, it's pretty slick. The one thing I do wish is that Sonny's video had included implementing a like functionality and comment functionality. As you can see, we do have like and comment buttons, but they don't actually do anything. It would also be cool to have like an edit or delete button. Mostly I just wish that the posts themselves were a little more interactive, but it's still a pretty cool build. Alright, the second app we built was a Gmail clone. Again, we start off at the login page, and this app and the next 2 apps all take Google logins, which is pretty cool. Now, I made a Google account for my boy Fluffy the Cat, so let's log in as official Fluffy the Cat at gmail.com. And here's our app. And as you can see, it had imported our Google profile pic into the avatar up here, which again, same as last time, you click on it and it'll log you out. We also have our messages displayed here, and we have a compose button, and we can actually click compose and write up a new message. So let's send a message to ourselves at official Fluffy the Cat. Let's call our message message. And how about for the text of our message, we say, "Hi Fluffy, sending you a message." Click send, and then look at that, it popped up in our messages list. And the really cool thing about this build is you can click on the email message and it'll pop up on your screen and you can read it. And then you can head back with the arrow over there. So let's take a look at the code for this app. Let's go into my Gmail folder. And here is our app.js. Here's the basic structure of our app. And for this app, same thing with the Material UI and Firebase imports. In addition, for this app, we used React Router, and the way that code is written has changed a little bit since Sonny made his video. Instead of switch, we now use routes, as you can see. And within each route, we put the element within the self-enclosing route tag. In addition, the use history has now been replaced with use navigate. That's something from React Router DOM. And use navigate doesn't have functions like push or replace, you just write navigate, and then in the parentheses, you write the path that you're trying to navigate to. I also ran into a bit of a problem with the code for the send mail component, which is the component that renders when you click compose. Sonny's code has the submit function tied to the form and the form's own submit functionality, but that code didn't work for me. I couldn't really figure out why, so instead I just created an on-click function that was tied to the actual submit button, and that ended up working fine. But if you do this, make sure to include the prevent default line of code, because if you don't do that, then when you hit submit, it'll just automatically refresh the page. Now, as for the build itself, I think it looks really clean. I do think it would be cool if once you clicked on an email, then it changed the red status of that email and the email would go to a light gray color like it does in Gmail. I also kind of wish that these social and promotions tabs worked, but truthfully, I think this is a pretty impressive build as is. Okay, so the next app was a Slack clone. And just like before, we start out on a login page and it hooks us up to our Google account. And now we're in. And once we're here, we can see that it imported our Google profile pic and display name into the header up top. We can also browse our channels and see all of the messages. And we can also add a new channel. So let's call our channel Fluffy's channel. All right, now once we go into Fluffy's channel, let's type a message that says, "This is my channel." All right, cool. This build has also a really cool feature where if we hit refresh, watch this. Did you see that? While the page is loading, it has a little loading screen. I really love that. I think that is so badass. That's just incredible to me. All right. So looking at our code for this app, let's go into my Slack folder. And here is our app.js, which has the basic structure of the app. And if you scroll down, you'll see that for this app, we use styled components instead of CSS, which was pretty easy and fun to use. In terms of Sonny's code, honestly, the only problems I ran into were the stuff I already talked about before in terms of the imports that needed to be updated. For the build itself, I honestly think it looks really great, and this was probably my favorite app to build. However, I do have one critique, which is that if you look at our list of channels, you can see some of them, but you can't see all of them. One of them's kind of falling off the browser, and if I make the browser smaller, so you can only see two of them, and there's no like scroll option where you can see all of them, and I don't really like that. I wish that this channels fake button was like a real button where you could toggle this menu of channels open and closed, and that there was a little sidebar, a scroll bar here for this section of the sidebar, this channels section, so that you could see all the channels without messing with this part of the sidebar. So that's my big critique here. However, like I said, I still had a ton of fun building this app, and it was my favorite build of the four. Now, last but not least, we made a Snapchat clone, and once again, we start out on the sign-in page, and we log in through Google. All right, now we're at the chats page, and now we're going to click on this little button here, and that's going to take us to a page that hooks up to our webcam. Now I've got my phone covering my webcam for privacy reasons, so let's take a Snapchat of my phone screen. All right, and then let's send now, and that's going to send it to our chats where we have this little red button showing it's unread. Let's click on it, and now it's going to count down. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom, it's gone, and we can't access it anymore, which I think is pretty cool. It's similar to real Snapchat, although it doesn't actually delete it behind the scenes, but you can't access it. And just like before, you can see we've imported our picture and our display name from Google. If you click this, you get logged out, same as the other apps. So yeah, this is a pretty cool app. If we go over to our code for this app, let's go to our app.js. Here's the basic structure of our app. You can see that we relied on React Router a lot. And yeah, there weren't really any problems I ran into for the code for this app. Just the same things as before with the imports that needed to be updated. And in terms of the build itself, I think it looks pretty slick. I think it looks pretty good. The only thing is I do wish there were a little more space here between this circle and the bottom of the screen. It doesn't look quite as good as I think it could. I did try to fix that in the CSS, but I couldn't get it to work without messing up the rest of the app. And Sonny's app looked the same. It had the same little problem, but it is a pretty minor quibble. I think overall this app looks pretty cool. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed it and it inspires you to try to build this app yourself and watch Sonny's video. If you liked this video, or even if you just like cats, please leave a thumbs up and a comment down below. Hit that subscribe button if you're so inclined, and I'll see you next time.